There it is. We're live. Painkiller Nearly, episode 192.
Yeah.
All right, so based on popular demand, we will only be discussing wings and hockey and
No
fitness
MMA and fitness.
Can we
at all?
slip
and
some
UFC,
MMA in?
And
Oh,
UFC.
really?
So, fucking Megaman is doing crazy. You know, the scourge of Kazakhstan, they call him. He gets
Murat's number one
kicks around
fighter.
goat heads or whatever the fuck that sport was.
I don't even know what
Yeah.
MMA Kyle's excited about.
I think
I don't
he
know.
was being
Well,
sarcastic, or maybe
yeah,
not.
we were being sarcastic, but I mean, if we were going to discuss MMA, and we're not, Kevin Lee made Barbosa's eye look like a bloody vagina the other night. So that was interesting.
Oh, I didn't watch. But I guess we're not discussing it.
No, we won't discuss it.
Another thing we're not discussing, wings.
That's what he said. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first thing on my list. It's such an interesting schism between the two groups that are discussing PKA, you know, where like
Yeah.
the subreddit is it is the smaller group, but it's the more like hardcore, I would say. A lot of them, they're still pretty split, but a lot of them, a higher percentage of them are like, I don't like Wings talk as much. The YouTube comments, as I was going through, they seem to really, really like it.
Huh.
And I know
course.
that, yeah.
Yeah, you'll
Maybe
never
that's
get a
because it's
firm
YouTube
grasp
based
on.
drama.
Yeah, you'll never get a firm grasp on who wants what. I think the majority of people like Wings Talk, and those that don't like it need to understand that the whole reason the guest was there was for Wings Talk. He contacted us. He's like, hey, I want some Wings Talk.
Some
Can we
deep
do
lore.
that?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's what he
that's
said.
what he was here for.
So this is related to Wings Talk, but Wings Tings is back. But I feel like Sean Ranklin, if I'm getting his name right, is the new king in this space. Are we seeing it this way all over?
Yeah. Well, I thought we weren't going to do Wings Talk.
We're
But-
not talking about wings.
Oh, we're talking about Wings.
We're talking about this is
channels.
Wings Talk.
A loophole. Suck it, haters.
How many layers of irony are we on? Yeah, like,
Yeah, Sean Ranklin got 50,000 views in about 48 hours.
The God
on his
of War
most recent
one?
video. I hear what you're saying about Wings Tings being back, and I could be wrong about this. I'm really not as into it as I jokingly say I am, but so I'm not sure. But I think that maybe someone who just like you know how you can change your channel name to like anything. I think someone may have changed their channel name to Wings Tings and then just ripped his like stuff and is using it. That's
Okay.
possible, but I'm not really sure.
it could be.
I'm not looking that carefully. I guess you could look at all his. Oh, you think they took his whole history of videos too?
I don't know. I haven't looked into that.
Oh.
It just seems like when the intro comes on, it's kind of like blurry, like someone like ripped it and then re-uploaded it.
The God of War stuff made me want to play God of War, and I might have this wrong, so I don't mean to insult his gaming skills. I don't want to get banned, but it seemed like he had spent about an hour and 20 minutes on like the first initial Gollum-like characters, and I mean Gollum from Lord of the Rings. That kind of describes the kind of character he was fighting. There was a couple of them, and he spent like an hour doing that. Like, I don't.
Have you seen this, Taylor? So God of War,
I know what it is.
a new God of War game came out, and it's sort of a quick time event game. That's how I always knew it. But like watching the new gameplay, first of all, Wings is an excellent gamer, and this is right up his alley. But he was really struggling with it. He put it on the most difficult difficulty level, and the game is like, "Are you fucking sure, bro? Because this means you are actually a God of War when you play on this level." And he's like, "I'm an adult, all right? Just give it to me." And he's like, "Yes." And he's like, "Are you really, really sure? Because there's no going back. When you die, you die. You will be Kratos himself incarnate if you play the game at this level." And he's like, "Yes."
Yeah.
Sure, are you sure? Yes.
And you have to know,
You have
for
to
like
click
a
yes 5 times.
decade, I've been hearing Wings say, like, I play every game on the hardest level. It's like a part of his sense of self-worth, beating games on their hardest level. He's platinumed everything, which is, getting all the achievements. And but apparently God of War is another level on just how difficult it was. Because Wings is not bad at games. But God of War made it look like he was. He was like, what am I doing wrong? Why can't I beat Schmeagol?
It looked so frustrating.
Oh.
I was in my head. I was like, man, just drop it down to hard. You don't have to go to easy or normal. Just drop it down to hard. I feel like nobody is gonna mind, or like start raging now and like feed into it. But he didn't either. He got really frustrated, and it was sad to see. Honestly, I was like,
Oh,
I wanted to see him win. I really did, because I'm interested in that game. I don't have a PlayStation 4, but it made me want to get one.
It's got cool looking combat. I've never played personally, but I've watched people play that game before, one of the previous ones, and it's an aesthetically very cool game. Like the way you fight, it's really fluid. The guy himself is like covered in like the kind of sand or white shit or whatever that they would put on people, and or what I imagine they put on them like before they go fight in the Coliseum, where they like whiten them all up and then they give them like red stripes. So it's a very cool game.
I appreciated what he was going through, because so I'm not as good a gamer as Wings, but I do have the same kind of attitude where it's like, I will bang my head against this brick wall hundreds of times until that wall gives in, and that I did a stream where I did what is the last scene called in COD 4 where you're on the plane trying to rescue the guy?
Oh shit. Like the slow motion one where you have to kill the guy as he's holding him hostage.
Did you guys do that with the headshot?
Yeah.
That was pretty hard when you put it on veteran or whatever the toughest one was, because it was like there's not enough time for any of this.
Mile High Club.
Mile High Club. Yeah, that's great. That's right. Exactly it. So I'd beaten COD, and then I had become like a multiplayer guy, and I was even a pretty well-known YouTuber, and I was like, I don't have the Mile High Club achievement. I'm gonna go get this on a live stream, and I just beat my head against that wall, and I don't know how many times I tried it. I might have tried it like 150 times on stream, but I had done it like 100 times privately, prior to that. It was really hard for me. I just wasn't feeling it.
It's hard.
And I was getting some bad advice in the chat, like go the other way, try this, try that. And in the I didn't know that I was getting bad advice, and that led me to like down the wrong path a couple times, and I might not have taken had I not been live streaming.
Is that the most difficult thing you've ever done in gaming, like that, or?
You know what? I thought for me personally, there was another part in COD 4 that was even harder. There was no fighting in the war room. It's a time
that was difficult.
Yeah, what happened was I'd gotten myself in a bit of a pickle. Like, so what happens is, if you have enough time, it'll do like an auto save, and then when you die, you pick up from there. I must have hit an auto save when I just barely had enough time, which meant that I really pretty much had to clear this level while sprinting. It would have been easier to start over again, and that took me several days, that section.
Yeah, that one was hard. You're like invading a missile silo, and like the deal is like the missiles are about to launch, like nuclear missiles, and you got to like invade the missile silo, kill, I'm going to guess 40, 50 guys who are in like 5-man, 7-man squads as you go, like through these tunnels, and like it's brutal. And you're picking up weapons as you go. And
it's timed, right? So
I hate timed levels.
Like
it's so frustrating.
Borderlands is a game where there's no clock on it, and oftentimes in Borderlands, if you have all the patience in the world, it's an easy game. You're like, oh look, if I stand way out here in the fucking distance, he doesn't even shoot back. It's like he doesn't see me. So I can just put like 1,000 headshots in this guy, even though I'm 4 levels lower than I should be. When it's time, like you got to run, you got to get in there, and it's very difficult. So that for me was harder, I think, than Mile High Club.
Sometimes Borderlands was pretty easy though. Like you'd be up against Terra Morpheus or Progenitus or whatever the big monster was, but if you like
he's the scat man. All right.
Damn it! You know what the hardest COD level for me was no Russian, because no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't kill everyone in the airport. You run out of ammo, and you just have to start knifing those people waiting in security.
Well, they hide in.
Please, no!
There should be an achievement for that.
I love when there's a mission. Yeah, I love whenever you get to a mission.
Because I thought it would be one. It was not, though.
My favorite mission, I think, was Halo 2, though. The final mission of Halo 2, when you're driving like a warthog like to safety as the planet explodes or the ring explodes, whatever it is. And it's like, dun 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 dun, and you're driving through this path as the like land crumbles beneath you, and at the end you hit a ramp and you jump out of the warthog and grab the bottom of the spaceship and like crawl your way up, and it's so it like gets
You
you.
remember how the warthog had a mind of its own in the air though?
Yeah, it would like
So
twist,
you'd like launch
turn.
off perfectly straight, and you'd be like, no, because it would just start listless. Like you could turn in midair, and it would act, and it would turn it. Like
Halo. Oh man, Halo got me so pumped. I was so pumped when Halo 2 ended, and he's like, Master Chief like ends up on the like side of like the gigantic alien dropship or whatever it is, and it goes through a rift like wormhole, and it shows up like next to Earth, and they're the like the general or whatever is like, wait a minute, we're getting a signal. That's Spartan 117. Master Chief, what are you doing on that giant alien dropship? Because he's like hanging on to the side of a ship the size of a town. He's like, finishing the fight, sir. And then and it ends. It ends. It just goes to credits. You're like, I was standing in that midnight release game with all those stinky fuckers.
I have a Halo story.
I'm finishing the fight.
So I played on a live stream, and I won't mention names because it's all ancient history now. But he's just frozen there smiling. So there was a Halo game where you could play with 4 people. I don't remember which one it was, but it was a co-op.
ODST.
Oh, okay. All right, so Halo ODST. I played it in a live stream with 3 people. One of them was a girl. And I don't know. We're just banging around, going through the game. It seemed pretty easy. It might have been a short campaign compared to most games. But the girl at least like pretended that she really liked me, that she thought my voice was amazing. And I might have had like a scheduled upload, or maybe she just noticed a video or something. But she's like, "Woody, you have a new video out." And it's like, "Yeah, you know, whatevs." And she's like, you can hear her playing it and pretending to be masturbating to the sound of my voice on stream. And it was just like
flattering.
But really,
I'm sure that's not the first time a lady's masturbated to the sound of Woody's Gamertag voice.
I think it might
Ooh,
be.
there's a new Mail Monday. I know there are a couple jack-off questions being answered. Someone's gonna cream their pants in a sleepover or some shit, you know, and need some advice on how to avoid that, you know.
And yeah, I don't know. It's just one of the weird takeaways I have from my whole YouTube career. You know, like, oh yes, and I'm just like, I think I wrapped up the stream like politely, like.
Yeah,
you know, called it good.
Jackie wouldn't like this at all.
That was like Single Woody might have played along with it, hummed, put that bass right on your pussy, or something.
That's what Stern did. Stern did that
I know,
once.
I stole it from him.
Yeah, I'm telling Taylor, like it's sort of it's shown in his movie. Like you should see Private Parts, like Howard Stern's movie. It's actually good. Like, it was so good. It was one of those things where, like, a non-actor does a movie, and it's so good that they're like, I can never do another movie again because that actually worked.
That was my peak. Yeah.
That he peaked so hard. Like that's part of how he got the nickname, the king of all media, because at one point he had the #1 radio show, the #1 movie in the country, and the #1 book in the country, like simultaneously, and they dubbed him the king of all media, and he was like, oh. Never gonna fuck that up. No, we're not gonna bomb at another movie. But there's a part where like this, and in the movie, it's a gorgeous woman calls in and tells him like she's hot for him or whatever, and he's like, and he gets her to take her big speakers, like she's got this big like gigantic speakers, and like lay them on the ground and straddle them, like the subwoofer, and he starts and she's just just like making her come on air with his voice. It's great.
That does sound pretty funny. I need to listen to some classic Stern.
I could definitely recommend you some of the best bits. One of my favorite is, he's got the Whack Pack or whatever. There's a guy called, what's his name? It's Eric the Retard. No, I think it's Eric the Retard. I'm spacing. I haven't had much sleep, but anyway, he gets a retarded guy who's comment on the show, and basically they dress him up like an astronaut in studio, and they tell him he's going to the moon. Not he's going to pretend to go to the moon. He's going to the moon. And here's your spaceship. They've got a cardboard box mocked up like a spaceship. They put him in it.
I think you've told me this before.
Yeah, they shake it. And they're like, you're on the moon. What's it like? It's scary. he starts freaking out, and they had to be like, all right, you're coming back now. You're coming back now. Oh, he's back. And they open it up, and he comes out a little tearful. It's like, all right, we went too far.
He probably came out a little less retarded, though.
He did become an astronaut.
He did know that he didn't actually go to the moon when he came out.
No. Like that's the benefit of being retarded.
Why
He's
there
like,
no hole in the ceiling from Blatov? Like, see, like just little things. He could have put the pieces together.
No, he couldn't do that. All the characters are good, but yeah, I could recommend to you some excellent Stern. There's some. What's the funnier moments aren't even on the surface funny. Like if I describe them to you, you're like, eh. But like it's when they start harping and picking on the ancillary characters of the show until that character breaks and like has a rageful moment. Like Fred, if I remember correctly, like bought his mother like a cake for some anniversary, birthday, day kind of thing, and he got like the frozen Cookie Puss cake from like Dairy Queen or whatever, and they start making fun of the Cookie Puss cake for 45 minutes. They're mocking him for buying his mother this cake until he finally snaps and starts like yelling at people and
is this an erotic cake or
no,
is it just
no.
a silly name from DC?
It's just a silly
I'm having
name.
a hard trouble.
Yeah, let me
I'm
show
having
you.
trouble picturing just like
Here's
a
my-
cock cake. At
Here's my
Dairy
question,
Queen.
though. So I've watched a lot of Stern. I've seen them pick on each other. They seem to get really mad. They argue. They fight, etc. Now, what I want to know is, right, like they go to the Cookie Puss. He snaps. He gets crazy. He's like, you guys, shut up. It's a cake. It's my mom. When they go to commercial, are they like, yeah, that's some good radio we just put out?
I think it depends.
I bet they do.
So some of the characters, do that, and they don't like that. So they actually hit them with like personal stuff. Like JD, they have a guy named John Hind on the show who I think may have had a background in actual investigative journalism. Okay, like he's the kind of guy who would go like look into Muammar Gaddafi's like.
And this was a retarded guy?
No. This is a guy with an investigative journalism background named John Hind.
You got me thinking that they're all retarded.
No.
Yes.
This guy's employed by the show.
Welcome to the
He's
hour.
like a credentialed journalist. He's the guy who would be like looking into Muammar Gaddafi's like sexy bodyguards or whatever and like getting the dirt on him. But instead, they'll assign him to members of the staff. All right, you follow JD around for the next 2 weeks. Find every weird, embarrassing, odd thing about him. I want you to be look under his fingernails, get the dirt, come back. We mock him on the air.
The mystery of the missing chromosome. Yeah.
He comes back and he's like, well, it turns out that JD doesn't wash his sheets. And I mean ever. It's been over a year since JD has washed his sheets. And then they mock JD endlessly about that. They find out that JD like spends thousands of dollars a month on cam girls and have them do like weird shit like put peanut butter on their pussy and have their little dog lick it off and stuff.
That's more embarrassing than the sheets thing.
Oh.
But I also question that guy's, investigative integrity if he's willing to make a year-long claim after 2 weeks. How can you believe him?
Well, because JD admitted it. And then there was all this
so
talk
it
of
wasn't
having
an investigative thing. When's the last time you changed your sheets? Oh, when they disintegrate, I get another one.
Well, they follow him around and like observe him like he's a zoo animal or something. He'll count how many times JD taps his foot at his desk. At one point, it was 180 times in 1 minute. Like, dear God, is there something wrong with you, JD? What did you eat for lunch?
After the 180th tap, it's once again time to masturbate.
Stuff like that. It's but yeah, I could recommend some good some good clips. It's fun to watch them.
I guess it's kind of like O&A where you can't describe the bits that well without making them sound, because O&A it'll be like, oh, and they just made fun of this, clearly not fully there Zimbabwean pilot who made a fake helicopter, and it's like that doesn't sound that funny, but then when you see it, it's hysterical.
That's great. If have you seen that one, Woody, where O&A makes fun of I love that shit. Like, and I still wonder to this day if you got that. If you got Lieutenant Zimbabwe aside with no camera, and you're like, dude, what the fuck? He's funny joke. He's funny joke, right? Yes. But
this
maybe
is actually a shopping cart.
Made a helicopter with a shopping cart and no parking signs. Of course
claimed
it's a joke.
he claimed he had flown it.
And I think like the speed that he said he flew it at was like not at all tenable. Like got it up to 32 miles per hour, and it's like, oh, what? But how? Like, It's just a giant clunker.
Yeah,
That weighs as much as 5 Volvos. Yeah, I need more shit like that because I can only re-listen to the old O&A with Patrice shit so many times, even though they are pretty much 9 out of 10 of them are hilarious.
I was listening to an ONA, I think it was ONA, but there's so many clips of just like the sort of cast of characters that sometimes that it seems like ONA, it's the same cast of characters, but they're not even doing ONA. In any case, they were making fun of Howard Stern's daughter. Bill Burr was on there, I think. Patrice was on there, and they're making fun of
civilian.
She had done like a Broadway style play where she's dressed absurdly. She looks like a pretty Howard Stern. She's got a big honker, big old nose, and she's scream singing about her vagina, and so they keep playing like 10-second clips of her vagina, and then they'll rip on her for like 5 minutes. And I don't remember who was tapping out. It may have been Patrice, but he was like, "That's that man's daughter. That's that man's daughter. Y'all fucking up." Not only is it his daughter, but it's Howard Stern's daughter. He's gonna hit back or something. But
did he though? I mean,
they had like the biggest, or at least Opie did more than Anthony.
I think
like the biggest
hitting back
inferiority.
isn't the right move.
His way of hitting back, I think, and maybe Taylor could help me, was he like got them behind the scenes with the upper management and kind of had a lot of things happen to their show.
Yeah, he basically, they say that, but I feel like almost like O&A was the second biggest show on Sirius, but it was like, the way it's like, oh, now, Warren Buffett's the second richest, and it's like, yeah, but he's only worth like 2/3 of fucking Bezos or whatever. So it was like a second place, but a huge chasm separated them. And so O&A clearly always had like an inferiority complex about it. Mm-hmm. It seemed more obvious with Opie. Anthony seemed to just more like making fun of it, like, "Ooh, Robin," and like all his ridiculous voices and shit. And yeah, I feel like they were like, "Oh, Stern's coming after us." He, it's like, I don't think you're even on his radar, dude. Like, I don't think he goes to bed at night thinking, "Oh man, Opie's catching up." He's like, "I've got a stranglehold on this whole fucking industry."
Didn't Stern do a thing where they couldn't be in the hallway at the same time as him or something like that? And to facilitate that, they like shut the building down when Stern was walking in and nobody could go into the hallway or enter the building.
That was a thing. Yeah. I think they did shut it down because
he's into it.
There was one video because Opie used to always try and make like viral videos, and he was like outside of a glass door once at XM Radio and Sirius, whatever, headquarters, and he's like, "Oh, here he comes the big special guy." And then like Howard and his team walk by, and he's like, "Steve, we can't even be in there at the same time. He doesn't like me filming him right now," and was like doing that. And it was like, oh wow, they really did kind of shut that whole floor down. So
yeah, Ronnie the limo driver's walking behind him like all. Ronnie's such a cunt. Like I think you followed the show enough to know. Do you know Ronnie the limo driver?
I don't know. I'm sure Woody does.
Woody?
I know the name, but I couldn't tell you why he's a cunt.
He's got such a combative like New York way of like responding to everything. You could be like, "Oh, Ronnie, it's a nice shirt." "What the fuck you mean? What the fuck you mean it's a nice shirt?" "Yeah, what?" Like he's always just so angry, and it's got to be a bit because like nobody can be that mad all the time. He's just such a fucking asshole.
There is a New York thing that I like. I like seeing it. I don't have it, but when I see I see it in politics. But like there are people in the Trump universe who have like hints of it, and I like watching it. That's all.
Yeah, I don't know about people from New York. Whenever I was there, I would always make sure to open the door for people just to see their reaction because I felt like they weren't used to that happening. "Oh yeah, after you." The fuck are you up to?
I feel like if you live in a city with that many people, you'd get like more used to holding the door open, right? Like trying to be polite, or is that just my Midwestern ass thinking may as well be polite? Like
it didn't. I think that.
I think it's a class thing, is what I think. I think if you live in an expensive apartment complex, people are holding the door for each other. If you live in one filled with, I don't know, criminals, then they don't.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know about that. I've never lived with a bunch of crims.
Have you been to New York, Taylor?
Nope.
You ever spent any time in there? I didn't enjoy it. I've been to so many cities, and that was one I just really didn't enjoy. I think the thing that got to me was when like I was walking in Manhattan one day, and I just realized that you couldn't see the horizon, that you were literally like, I don't know, there were so many buildings that so dense and for so far that all you could see, the horizon was way up high, and it was just sort of between building peaks. And I was like, this is a little claustrophobic now. It feels like I'm underground almost. I didn't care for that.
So it's fun. That's how I feel about Harlan, Kentucky. I don't know if I'm sure you've all been to Harlan, Kentucky.
The New York of Kentucky.
Harlan, Kentucky is a very poor, sort of broken coal town, but maybe ex-coal town, filled with opioid addicts and good off-roading, which is why I was there. And the geography of it is that you kind of stay in a valley, and the mountains are on either side of you. And it's like, fuck, the sun comes up at 10 and goes down at 3:30 in the summer here. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, the horizon is so high that it takes forever for this to happen. And but New York, on the other hand, when I go there, like, I see it as one of the most impressive accomplishments of humankind. Like, if you go to Chicago, and Philly's an even better example, it's like, yeah, Chicago rivals New York, but it appears to be 1/10 the size of it. The scale of how far New York is 50 stories dense just goes on and on and on.
It's way more sprawling than a city like Chicago,
not just
according to every picture.
Not just sprawling, but impressive sprawl. Yeah. Like, Atlanta is very wide. L.A., very wide.
L.A. has 15-story buildings as far as the eye can see. A 15-story building is nothing in New York. That clearly needs to be ripped down and replaced with a 65.
You're losing money. There's no way you can be a landlord with a 15-story building in Manhattan. It's not earning its keep. The real estate's so expensive.
Yeah, and that's like, if you go to is it called the Freedom Tower? What's the new 9/11 building?
Yeah.
Freedom Tower, I think.
Yeah, if you go there and just get the view of it, it's like, oh my God. Like, this thing is so built up, so tall for so far. You know, it's not just like New York. Even Raleigh has like 5 of them. They have thousands of buildings in this class. It's something else.
They must be concerned about it all just sinking into the ocean. With all that weight.
The real
right?
risk is that it will turn over. It doesn't just sink, it capsizes.
We're going to put a big tower over there. We can't. We're at our weight limit.
We need another tower on the starboard side of the city.
Like, cities as big as and then, like, even more impressive is, like, when you compare, you know, like those star comparison videos where they're like, here's our sun, and here's this other star, and here's this other one. And before you know it, like, the scale is so big you can't wrap your head around it. Like, when you see, like, oh, here's, you know, Harlan, Kentucky, and then here's, Raleigh, and then Chicago, and then New York. Like, you go from New York to, like, Tokyo, and it's mind-blowing.
Is it?
Mind-blowing how big a city like Tokyo. Oh, it's not twice as big as New York. It's not 3 times as big. It's like orders of magnitude. It's got like 30+ million people there. It, like, cities like New York and up, they like just look like human termite mounds, you know? Like, if
does
like
it
a
annoy
giant
you?
No,
does it annoy you?
care.
No, not that. Does it annoy you at all that Dubai is so impressive and has those incredibly tall buildings?
Yes.
Don't you wish that America had the tallest building in the world?
Yes.
I don't care.
That doesn't occur. It does to me. Whenever I see, like, they're creating a new tower in Abu Dhabi, and it's going to be 8,000 meters tall. 8,000 meters? Wait, 24,000. Well,
how many miles is that?
That's like 4 miles. That's insane. I'm exaggerating, but like, whenever I see they're building a new one, and they do that thing, where they do the comparison. Here's like the Statue of Liberty, and here's the former Twin Towers, and here's this tower they're building in Abu Dhabi. It's like, it's like a third bigger. What are we doing over here? Why can't our buildings be as tall?
I've looked up the Tokyo stats because
you didn't want those dirty Japs.
It didn't sit right with me that New York wasn't even competitive. So here's some stats. New York has 8.6 million people, and Tokyo has 13.6 million people. But the thing is, Tokyo has about just under 7,000 people per square mile, and New York has 28,000 people per square mile. That density that we're talking about, how everything is 60 stories, that's what That's the cool part about New York, Leah.
And you're discounting the fact that our people are much larger, so that density number is not being read to its full measure. Much
That's good
bigger
thinking. Yeah. No, just like, and so I don't know if it's still true. Philadelphia was like the 5th largest city in the country, and then I looked at it and it was like, oh well, they kind of cheated. They just expanded the city boundary to make it bigger than some of it the competitors. That's what Tokyo did.
For most cities, you have to look at metro area anyway, because most cities are not structured like New York, like that.
LA
Like
is
if you
a
look
good
at Philly,
example.
like you look at kind of the metro area, because that gives you a better feel for the size of it. Like LA, that's another good example of that. You're right.
LA has parts of LA that hardly seem like city. So yeah. Anyway, New York is impressive to me. It blows me away.
Absolutely. I remember when you and I were driving up there, and you could see the Freedom Tower from New Jersey. I don't know, like so goddamn far away, and it's like, holy shit, look at that thing.
What something about that driving from Jersey, and you start seeing the exit signs from The Sopranos. It's like,
Yeah.
woke up
Yeah.
this morning.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Exactly. I just started humming that in my head too as soon as you said it. I like the intro to that because you're like, man, this really is kind of a shithole. You're the king of a shithole.
I always feel like you know what? This is North Jersey. The whole state's not being accurately represented. It's a very nice gardeny part down south.
Yeah, they showed the Pine Barrens.
That's how it is every time, like, they show areas that you live in. Like, with Gone Girl, that movie, they showed Missouri,
Okay.
and it was like, that's not where it's like in 5% of the state, where I live,
Well, look at Walking Dead, right? Like they show tons of Georgia, and I'm like, yeah, it is that shitty. That's accurate. That's what it's like there.
Dude,
I've been down there where they film. I've been down there where they film. I was having lunch with a girl like maybe 2 months ago or something like that in Senoia, Georgia, I think it is, Senoia, and they film down there. That's one of the locations they film at. We're sitting there in the cafe, and I kind of look over my shoulder because I see her eyes rise to the window, and so I look over my shoulder out the window, and there's a zombie walking down the street. And I don't mean like some jerk like dressed himself up like Halloween. No, there is a movie quality zombie walking with an arrow stuck through him, like dragging himself through and here comes another one. They're just walking through the streets.
Only got
down
30
there.
minutes for lunch.
He's not like walking around casually. He's like he's just like dragging himself along the sidewalk.
was he from the
Character
set, you
actor.
think? Is that the deal? Or is he just a big fan?
Yeah, just how annoying would that be? Dude,
I
it would
think
be
he's
so funny to just try and make your way onto set in your own zombie outfit and just join
I love
the
it.
shoot.
Great.
I'm honestly not sure which it was. I think
That
it
one's
could have
got
been.
vampire teeth.
Yeah. It'd be cool if, like, I'm sorry to cut you off, Kyle, but if someone did that really well, that slipped in something that didn't fit, right? Like they're movie level zombie garb, like Kyle's describing, but they quick throw on like a MAGA hat, like a Make America Great Again hat,
Political.
and try to get it in there.
Wow, how's that one in rollerblades? Like, must have died while blading.
Can we
They
talk?
were,
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say it kind of reminded me of in Sedona, Arizona. They have it's a touristy town in like this like basin. You got to like drive down circular like down into it from mountains in Arizona. It's beautiful there. It's where like those big red rock formations are there everywhere, and they have a cowboy and Indian walking down around the streets of the town there, and they are the most authentic cowboy and Indian pair you've ever seen. Like it'd totally be in a movie set. So much so, like I walked with the cowboy and I was like, "Is that a real gun?" And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Is it loaded?" Well, open carry. I was like, "Holy shit, that is a cowboy. That they just have a cowboy." And I was a little afraid around the Indian, like maybe he would start, scalping
Is that a
some
functional bow?
He's give him collar or something.
Give him cholera.
Yeah. I watched Terror. Barely. I don't know. Something about the show's not called Terror?
No,
It is-
That's what
I
I
was
was
thinking-
thinking about.
I think there's a new episode and I haven't seen
Are
it
there
yet.
3 episodes out now?
There's like 5,
Well,
6.
I was actually.
I'm
Just
waiting
gonna ask
for
you
it
about,
so I can like binge it all at once.
I'll have to ask you about the most recent episode. It was in large part dull, so I started watching Reddit and stuff, and then some important shit went down, and I was like, how did we even get here? What? How are these colossally terrible decisions being made? I've seen better decisions in a Friday the 13th fucking movie than I have in this show right now.
I think at some point soon they're going to abandon the boats. I think that's coming. That decision might be made soon. I haven't seen the most recent episode, but if you haven't seen it, it's on AMC. It's quite a good show. Decent cast. It's got Ed Muir-Tully from Game of Thrones, as well as Mance Rayder from Game of Thrones, and you know they help carry things along a bit, and it's interesting. I was telling Woody.
Ed Muir-Tully, I'm spacing. He's the one who missed. He kept shooting that flaming arrow at the boat and kept fucking up, and then the blackfish had to do it for him.
Yes.
That scene made me dislike him so much that I bet I won't like him in this new show.
He was trying so hard. He was
I know
trying
he
so
was.
hard. Wouldn't that be embarrassing? Like I don't know if there's anything like that in our modern society where like you're called upon to do a thing that's a little bit challenging, but it's a somber moment and everyone's watching.
Mosin Nagant, you're trying to blow up a big screen TV from like 25 feet and you can't hit it.
Is this something Wings did?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, Wings he bayoneted it.
No, he
No,
did.
That was
Woody-
hilarious.
It was that TV actually, and he was doing
It
a
was.
video on like how the destruction / disposal of it, and I'm having a hard time over something stupid, but this was maybe before Kyle was Russian, or if not, it was early on, but. Before Kyle was Russian, I felt like Wings almost pulled rank that like he was the gun guy. You know, he had a 50 cal.
This was well into Russia times because like
Okay.
I remember I brought that whole like thing of guns like so I had my
That's
ACR
right,
and like
that's
the
right.
Desert Eagle and stuff and
But prior to the Russian time, I felt like Wings. He laid claim to a large arsenal of weapons and
Sure.
made it seemed like guns were a big part of who he was.
yeah, he claimed to have a 50 caliber sniper rifle.
Mm-hmm. I think I do. But,
You do.
Yeah, I like a sniper. Is it like what's a sniper rifle exactly? But whatevs. And then when we saw him shoot, it was indicative of a person who doesn't do it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he almost.
He almost killed you.
The ricochets, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can line it up right, but he's shooting a tree here. He and his girlfriend, I don't know if it was Brandy or Shalene or whatever, were shooting the tree, and Kyle and I were off to the side. So it was hitting the tree and ricocheting to us. And Kyle just, certainly not in a panic, but maybe alarmed, you know, like he's like, we're in a bad spot. We should go. And I trusted his advice. It wasn't until later that night that we broke out the tracer rounds that
You realized?
my eyes opened to the fact that these bullets don't just vaporize on impact. They just start going places.
Yeah.
And Kyle was right. We were in a bad spot. And, like, I don't know. I would have known not to shoot with other people just off downrange. But it wasn't until later I realized, like, bullets might have missed us by feet.
Yeah. It was not entirely safe. It was good that we moved. Yeah, that was an interesting day. I felt like I think we've said this before, but Wing's entire posse was there. Like people that I still don't know to this day who they were. It was like they had all shown up to see Woody and I, and they didn't interact with us or introduce themselves. They huddled, like penguins looking at seals.
To see
like
us, these outsider zoo animals who enunciated.
yeah, yeah. And we're
That
all
was the
over there
draw.
like we're all over there like doing our things and like we'd
at
look
that
over our
guy
shoulder and
enunciating.
Listen to how they're
wear a
hitting them
belt.
consonants.
I think his truck is inspected.
and got shoes. La-dee-da.
Oh, two of the same shoes.
Watching Wings play God of War God of War's not on PC,
I'm sure it is. It's a really
it?
popular game.
or is it?
If I had to guess, I would say it's a PlayStation 4 exclusive. I don't know that for a fact, but it's also one of those games where I bet it would be weird on a. I guess you could play it on a keyboard, but let me check. I think it's a PS4 exclusive.
I was about to go stream. I don't know why I think this idea is good or funny, but I keep wanting to live stream and just be Wings all night. You know, scream, look here, listen at people, threaten to ban guys all night long. I would need to do my research because I would mess up his quotes.
You can't just threaten to ban. You got to go through.
Well, I picture it like this. There's no mods in the stream, but I give the mods instructions all night long. You know, ban anyone who insults my gaming skills. Ban them. Ban anyone who does that. And just go on all night long doing that sort of thing.
I'll tune in for that.
This is the week the Medicare video might go up. But
that would be fast.
Did you end up watching his Shoe Nice one, Woody?
I haven't.
Seen any of his
I know
stuff.
you haven't.
I haven't either.
Of all the people that he's spoken about, I know, Woody, you do not care for that guy.
Shoe Nice?
Shoe Nice, because he just was weird and odd and kind of rude.
Yeah, I couldn't. I don't know. I felt
He was
like,
hard to peg down.
I felt like we were doing a thing for him, kind of, you know, and he just sort of.
He ate glue for us.
Yeah,
That's
that's
true.
true. That's
Props.
a fair counterpoint. But he kind of shit on us all night long, and he was like, "That was stupid. What is this? A lesbian book club and this and that?" And I was just like I don't know. Like, why is?
We should have hit it back. Aren't you homeless?
Yeah, no, you're right. We should have hit it. Yeah. You know what I did like though? Apparently, he was in the Ice Poseidon stream. And he was in there chatting like, I won't be ignored. That. He was trying to get us to recognize him in the Ice Poseidon screen repeatedly. And I saw him and I was like, no. Like I'm not going to interrupt the show to talk about Shoe Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, remember that guy who got views 6 years ago? Like,
Yeah.
Like even more than that now, probably 7 years ago. And then everybody was like, I don't know how many times we can watch him chug slightly varying alcohols.
You know what we should have done? We should have had him on board for the drinking episode. Like, imagine if we got him on, and every time we took a shot, he drank a fifth.
Solve the Shoe Nice issue once and for all. There you go.
Well, he's dead now.
No, I feel like he'd pull through. He'd be okay.
I don't
Like
know.
he's got to have something unique with his digestive system to be able to eat that much caulk and glue.
Apparently,
and
caulk is
non-food items.
What I thought was interesting was his expertise in non-food items. He's like, I forget what it was. It might have been caulk or a glue, but he's like, you know, if it's silicone-based caulk, you don't want to eat that. However, if it's in the DAP family, it's really no big deal. You can eat that. You digest it. It comes out the other end just like any of your other poop. And I was like this guy has developed an expertise on stuff. I feel like he could walk through the hardware store and know what's safe for him to eat and what's not.
Maybe.
I wouldn't take his word for it, though.
No.
Well,
No.
I think I said safe for him to eat, though.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, I'd never followed up on Shoe Nice that much, but I'd seen like a few videos online of people being like, "Hey, he told me he'd pay me for thumbnails, and then I gave them to him and he didn't," and like stuff, you know, kind of akin to that. And the Medicare video on him breaks it down in so much detail. Like there's stuff that like I didn't even know about, where it's like, holy shit, like there was just some stuff where just like like you remember his thing of like, oh, I'm gonna save the homeless, thank you.
Yeah.
Like that shit, like that apparently that was pretty dubious in a couple ways, where like there wasn't accountability for the funds in a couple instances. But I don't know, I got a kick out of that one. I got a kick out of all of them.
It was I don't want to mess it up. There's a Pwnstar for Hire is what I'm talking about. It's easy to mess up because there's a guy at Pwnstar.com who's a very good player and a great guy. Pwnstar for Hire, he used to hate on me all the time, and I mostly just looked the other way. And then he ran this like charity for Christmas, and basically you just sent everything to his house, and then he would distribute it outwards. So like money, gifts, toys, etc. You send it all to him personally, and then he would distribute it. And it was actually X-Jaws who called him out as like, this is shady as fuck. What kind of guy like sets himself up to be the recipient of all your gifts and charity, and then just sends on the stuff he doesn't want to keep? And
Yeah, it seems like it'd be faster to just use the post office, right, or UPS, and just ship it directly there instead of having this big middleman and putting a bunch of effort on the one guy.
And there was like, I think he might have canceled it or something. Like, like I don't know, but I didn't really spot the dubious part until X-Jaws pointed it out. I was like, yeah, he sort of did set that up in a way that certainly didn't insulate him from criticism. So much better if any YouTubers are out there watching this, have it go directly to them. Like, I used to do a March of Dimes thing, and you could tell like it wasn't going through me; it was going straight to where it belongs. Anyway,
yeah.
Trying to think. So Kyle's not current. I'm enjoying Silicon Valley or Silicon Valley. I think both pronunciations are okay.
Oh, Silicon, yeah. Silicone is for breast implants.
Oh, I didn't even. Oh shucks, I should know better. Anyway,
Silicon Valley might be a better show. I bet there is a porn parody of that. If there is, Kyle can find it. I actually stopped watching that show, I think last season or the season before, because I feel like it kind of lost a lot of momentum. Are you still liking it?
It did lose some momentum. I agree. I felt like it was better in its first season or two.
Yeah, like one or two.
It is the equivalent of television candy, and I pop it. The shows are kind of short, and I enjoy it, and I watch the characters, whatever, hate each other but like each other and go through their things, and they have moments where they're supremely awesome at their jobs and then just stupidly incompetent and making terrible decisions, and I like watching it come through.
Isn't what is his name? The fat guy? He's not on there anymore?
Right.
He left to do an Emoji movie, and I wonder how he's looking back on that.
I do too. I feel like there's more to it than they let on. I think that guy's a train wreck behind the scenes, and he got fired.
You think?
Yeah.
Do you think it could have been like he maybe got too big for his britches, where they gave him the opportunity, like, oh, now you're jumping straight from TV to movie, like the natural escalation, like up, and he's like, I'm out of here. I'm a movie guy now, and then it kind of imploded.
I feel like he's gotten in trouble in real life once or maybe even twice, like getting belligerently drunk on an airplane and something else.
That sounds familiar. I don't know if it's TJ Miller. That's his name.
Yeah.
Did he have some sort of sexual thing recently?
That ended up being not what it was. Yeah, it was his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend from years and years and years ago, coming out about something, and apparently like his current girlfriend and everyone was corroborating, like, yeah, she's been harassing him for years, like won't stop trying to get back at him, and yeah, but allegedly.
So in 2016, he got into trouble for assaulting an Uber driver. In 2017, he got into that's the sexual assault allegations that may or may not be true. In 2018, he got into charges for a fake bomb threat on an Amtrak train. And that's all that's there. Maybe I'm mixing up Amtrak with the airplane.
No, I see it right here. Yeah, it says TJ Miller busted for drunk bomb threat on Amtrak train. That is definitely indicative of someone whose life isn't going swimmingly.
Right? Like, I feel like, look, most people don't have like a major crisis every year on this. There's an implication that, that maybe he got tossed off the show because he doesn't have his shit together.
Yeah, that could be fair. He was funny on that show in the first two seasons, though. The first two seasons of that show I thought were hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the tall, skinny guy who's just really uncomfortable and weird. He gave me quite a few laughs in that in the first couple seasons.
I don't know why. I feel like I like the actor. I don't know him at all, but the whatever comes through of him, he was on The Office as well. I always like that guy. Want him to do well.
John. Speaking of people from The Office doing well, John Krasinski is killing it with this new movie, which I think he played a large role in the production of. Maybe he wrote it or something like that. And
I know that he chose to cast a deaf person, a daughter maybe or something. Like he had to stick to his guns for that. So he must be, if he has a role on Who Got the Jobs.
Maybe he's producing as well in some regard. And I think it's going to give him the carte blanche to make a new sci-fi movie that he wants to make. I read that on Reddit somewhere. So I like that guy a lot. Like I'm glad he's doing well. And it's interesting to see his body transformation from sort of skinny, gawky Jim Halpert to like an action hero. It's
Beginner games are great.
Oh, he's got way more than beginner
I
games.
know.
Yeah.
I just trying
he's-
to work it in.
He's looking very good.
Yeah.
I saw that clip of like Dwight or someone being like, you know, Jim, if you tried, you could probably have the best beard in this office. And then it shows Jim now, and he's got a fantastic beard, shredded, looking great. If he put your stapler in Jello, you'd have to laugh and agree.
Yeah.
Ha 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 ha! I don't want you to snipe me as I'm walking out to my car.
If he looked like that during the show, it would have been funny because he'd just been the big bulky
he would have
bully.
been a bully.
Yeah. I want to see
He would have been
that.
more like Packer. You know?
There's 3 movies that I have to see. One of them is that one. Another one is I haven't seen Black Panther yet. I know you guys might be lukewarm on it, but that's a movie I'd really enjoy. And then the new Infinity War is coming out. I want to see that.
Yeah, I want to see it as well.
Have you seen Black Panther, Kyle? I know you.
I
like
haven't
most
seen it. Like,
superhero movies.
yeah, I really like the superhero movies. I should see it. I mean to see it. I just haven't yet. I kind of like. I don't know. I'll watch it soon. Maybe when I watch Infinity War, I'll watch Black Panther first, and then like eat some lunch, and then go back to Infinity War because these things are so goddamn long. There's no way that you could just do them back to back. You gotta have a meal
That's
in
the
between.
same series, right?
Yeah. The Black
Universe.
There's one
Panther
of the characters
comes
in Infinity
to
Worlds.
Amazon on May 4th.
Ah,
So I might just wait till then and then watch it at home. Like we've got a decent little movie set
they
up.
make you pay. You know, I get annoyed that they make you purchase it for like $20. Like at first, you know, that's one of the benefits that like Blockbuster has over, or when it existed, when there was brick and mortar like movie rental places over the current digital platforms. Because like when something first comes out, it's like it's not for rent. You can buy it. It's $20.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Gosh.
that. I'm gonna
Yeah.
check and see if that's the case.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever bought a movie off of Amazon.
I have. Like if
I
it's
have,
something
it's
I really
rare.
wanted to see, because I'll like rationalize it, like, you know, like, well, if I'd gone to the movies, it would have cost me like $50. You know, by the time I drive there, add the dinner that I'm definitely going to have, buy 2 tickets, buy popcorn and drinks and stuff. Like it's $20.
Yeah,
seems-
have a nice $10 beer and some $8 popcorn, and yeah.
I try not to
Alright.
drink too much when I'm at the movies because I don't want to get up and pee.
Kyle, you're right. It looks like it's $20 and you have to buy it.
Yeah. Yeah, they do that for like the first, depending on how hot the movie is. Like if it comes out and it's like nobody wants it, they're like, and now $5 rental, like a week later. But with something like that, I bet it's a month before you can actually rent it for $6 or whatever.
If only there was some way.
Well,
I'm out of
there's the
ideas.
Redbox.
Yeah,
You can go to
that's what I'm
Redbox.
getting at.
You go to one of those. You ever had? I don't think I've ever used one, but
I have.
it's a really ingenious sort of you know, business idea, I guess. You know, it's
Do they
get rid of
ever
the
run
entire.
out?
Oh yeah, they've run out. Like the only time I ever use them is if like there's a storm or some shit and my internet goes out, and I'm like, well, I don't have any other physical media. Like I guess I need to go rent something to throw in the PS4.
I wouldn't even know. I'm sure Google Maps would let me know.
Oh,
Yeah,
there's,
yeah.
Like, pretty much out of every CVS and Walgreens and Rite Aid and shit, like every pharmacy has one.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
So
And they have video games too. I don't remember the last time. I've definitely used one before, but it's been a long time.
I'm watching something. I'm watching The Expanse. I'm
Hmm.
almost.
what's that?
So it's on the Sci-Fi Channel, and there are 2 seasons made. I don't know if 3's happening now or what the scoop is. And it happens in space. Now there are 3 like groups of people. There are the Earthers, as you might guess. They're the people who were born on Earth. There's the Martians. So Mars in this universe is kind of like Russia. It doesn't have all the advantages that Earth has, but it's militarily very strong, and the people are disciplined, and they're not to be trifled with. And then there's the Belters. The Belters are like, I don't know, Ghana or something, like disorganized, many factions and warlords, and
Kind of just shittier.
yeah.
Are
and-
they in like an asteroid belt or something? Like on
Exactly.
an archipelago?
They live on
of
asteroids,
sorts?
and each of them have well, actually, the Earthers are the healthiest people. The Martians are often like mildly disadvantaged from their low gravity. Like they come to Earth and they're not quite as strong and they're disoriented. And their dream on Mars is to build out a planet that actually has like an atmosphere and an ocean and things like that. But they're not there. And then the Belters are fucked. Like if they don't get medical care, they grow up to be 8 feet tall with bones as weak as chalk. And if you put them in gravity, it's like a kind of torture for them. You have to put them in water to help them out. And then there's, some of them get different levels of medical care, which make them closer to regular people, but still not as good. And none of these groups trust each other. And then there's our little group. I don't want to give away even the beginning of it, but they go around and try to make things happen. And
what's like the proposed year that all this is going, or do they not clarify?
If I'm not getting it. I don't know, but it's got to be pretty far in advance. Like I know there was a guy who invented like a much more fuel efficient space engine, and that's 137 years before this takes place. And even that, I mean, who buys a fucking spaceship to tinker around with? So the whole thing must take place like 500 years from now or something. I don't know.
It's so I guess the time frame for the series is presumably intentionally left vague, but the world of The Expanse started as a tabletop RPG that was set in the year 2350, and the TV series was first pitched as a thriller set 200 years in the future. So
there it is, 200-300 years. So I'm enjoying it. I went into it thinking it was going to be Star Trek where characters died more often, and it is way grittier than that. And I don't know. I'm enjoying The Expanse. You should check it out if you're looking for something to watch.
Yeah, I've heard it's quite good. It's I think I'll get into it pretty soon.
Man, I'd want to be one of the Earth people.
Yeah, I think so.
For sure. If everybody else shows up and they're just weaker, like how would Mars ever wage war on Earth when they get there and they're like, oh my God, this backpack is heavy?
Earth has some issues too. Like they're basically fat and spoiled. Something like 90% of the population doesn't have a job. They live on basic assistance from the government. But it's not that they're lazy, it's that there's no opportunities. One guy that it's not a spoiler at all, but he happens late in the second season. We meet him and he says, hey, like when I was 18, I applied to be a doctor. And I have been prepping and hoping that this opportunity like still comes true, but I'm 52 years old now. And it's just like, damn, well, they live to be older too, like 150. Yeah. But, it's just like.
So it's like a dystopian version of Earth where it's like some overarching like global government and the people like.
Earth is like a single country and the people mostly don't work and everything is easy to them. And the Martians see them and they're like, oh my God. Like, you have all the air you want. You don't buy it. It's just there. Air and water, just free and easy. Like, Jesus, And the Belters, air and water are is more valuable than gold. And on Earth, it's a limitless supply. And people, like, make money getting, like, space icebergs and bringing them to the belt so people have water. And it's interesting.
And the people living on asteroids out there, the Belters, they can't even go hang out anywhere else because they'll just collapse because of gravity, right? Is that what you were saying? So they're pretty much stuck on their asteroid orb.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And then there's different techs like, gravity shoes and stuff. And it's fun to watch. I'm enjoying the show. I'm liking it.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I may check that out. You should watch Battlestar Galactica, though, Taylor, before anything. Like, just watch the first 2 episodes. They are 2.5 hours long, but watch them.
I watched the old Battlestar Galactica as a kid, and people told me like, "Woody, you should check out Battlestar Galactica," and I'm like, "That show is so stupid. It's dumb. It's so dumb. No, the remake is not dumb. It's smart TV.
It's very good. Very good.
Yeah, I liked it. But I'm sad I crashed my paramotor. I'm embarrassed.
Oh, no.
Did it break or just a crash?
Oh, it broke. It was...
At least you didn't break. Thank God for small miracles.
I swear this is the whole extent of my injuries, these scratches on my thumb. But
So crashing your paramotor is safer than foot dragging.
It turns out. I
You heard it here first, right?
I don't know if people are like the details might not register with guys, but basically when you turn, you lose altitude, right? That's the thing. So I was planning my landing. Like I was the most experienced pilot in this group. So I went up just to check the air and tell other people what to expect, right? Some of them were real new. And I went up and the air was great. There was hardly any wind, but when there's no wind at all, it can be switchy. It was changing directions. And there was this tall windsock, call it like 25 feet tall. And it was showing like even the slightest wind changes. So as I'm coming into land, I kept changing my mind, like, because you want to land into the wind. I'm like, well, I'll land this. Oh, well, switched again. I'll land here. Nope, switched again. I'll land in this direction, in that direction. Because the windsock was kind of like in the way, and there was a pilot on the field that was kind of in the way, it cut down on my options on where I could land. And at the very end, I'm like, all right, here's the plan. I'm going to turn about 120 degrees, hook this thing in, land here in front of everybody, and, nail it. I should have gone around or prioritized a clean approach over landing into a headwind that was like 1 or 2 miles an hour. Like I could have landed with a tailwind. It wouldn't have mattered. But what happened was as I did that turn, I was close to the tall windsock. And I'm watching my wingtip to make sure that it didn't catch the pole, right? If the lines get caught on the pole, there's a possibility that it like grabs your wing. It's not wing shaped anymore, and you just crash. So I'm watching to make sure I clear it, and then as I look forward, all of a sudden I'm out of altitude, and I hit the ground embarrassingly hard. The frame gets all pretzeled up and damaged.
Pretzeled.
Yeah, I have some pictures. The harness, like the stitching, like shreds and like comes apart, and I flared, which is to pull the brakes, which would make it like you do that as you land, so that it like it's like you lose speed and give it lift at the same time, and then at the end there's hardly any energy and you get to land nicely. Well, I flared real hard and like popped back up again. And I didn't land on my feet that time either. Like I landed on my feet and I kind of fell forward on my hands and knees. And it's like, oh, nice move, asshole. Like you managed to crash twice in one flight. You don't see that much. And there's not a scratch. People came running over afraid that I was hurt. And I wasn't. It was completely fine. The cage took all the heat.
That's
good. There's a guy I know. He does a landing with a twist. He did it all the time. It was like his thing. And then as he landed, he leaned so far over that he'd put the wingtip on the ground. It's a trick. And some small, thorny little flower plant grabbed his wingtip, didn't let go, and he crashed. And when he described it, he's like, if you saw this, you wouldn't think it was the kind of crash that people would get hurt on, right? It wasn't like he came falling from 100 feet in the air. He was just spinning himself a few feet from the ground. But if you land in the seated position just right, things can go really wrong. And he had some spinal damage, and they weren't sure he'd walk again.
Oh.
Yeah. And for months he was in a wheelchair, and then it clicked, and now he's fine. But they didn't know if he'd be fine. He's like, this chair may or may not be, I might live on wheels. That could be his scoop. And I feel like had this gone wrong, like had the frame not taken the heat instead and my spine did instead, like I don't know, this would have worked out. But as it turned out, the frame got all bent up, the titanium got twisted and stuff, and yeah. So now I'm in the process of fixing it. The frame looks like new. I had a friend come over and we bent it back perfectly. It looks probably better than it was before the flight. There's in the bend back, there's a small little crack, so I'm going to put some weld on that. I took the harness to a cobbler, where they have like heavy duty sewing and thread and stuff.
Yeah.
And the harness is better than new. There are swing arms on the side. I don't even know where along the way my swing arms hit the ground, but one of them got bent. So I'll have new Acro swing arms by tomorrow. And hopefully I'm flying by tomorrow or Thursday. Probably Thursday because we have a show tomorrow. But I feel like an asshole. And yeah, somebody who he hasn't even flown yet. I post a lot of videos online and stuff, and I'm intermediate going on advanced pilot, and in this area that's like as good as it gets. So he asked me to fly his paramotor, and I'm like, you sure? And he was like, yeah, you know, like I don't fly yet and I want to make sure it's okay. So yeah, my most recent flight wasn't that one. I flew his paramotor and got jiggy with it and landed just fine. But I made a bad decision on the flight where things went wrong, and that I didn't prioritize a clean, easy landing. Instead, I went for some unplanned trick landing idea I came up with at 50 feet and I didn't set myself up for success. And yeah.
Well, at least you didn't get hurt.
Yeah. Well, at least, yeah.
Yeah.
Not nearly as bad as it could have gone.
My father
When you
used to
fall
s-
from the sky and you aren't hurt,
Well,
that's
there is the
that should be the
scratches.
focus of it. Well, you know, I'll have you in my prayers.
My father used to say that life's big problems were emotional and medical, and everything else money can solve. And this won't even be that much, maybe $400, and I'll be good to go again. But I do feel like an asshole, and that is hard to fix. I posted online in the paramotor group about it, and people were real supportive. Some of the most experienced pilots were like, yeah. He's like, it seems like every 300 to 500 hours, he needs to relearn that lesson. Like, he starts to forget that things can go wrong, that you need to be careful. And I guess that's what happened to me. You know, I was like, yeah, I'll just slice in between this guy and next to the sock and turn real low and, you know, nail this hook turn landing thing. And it's like, why'd you do that? There were easier choices available. And
You got to push the limit.
Yeah.
you push the limit from 3,000 feet where you can fix shit. You know, where if you suddenly lose 15 feet, it doesn't matter. But fucking around close to the ground is how people get hurt, and I have to burn that one in.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're okay. That sounded like it. Sounds like it could have been scary.
Yeah. So anyway, so there it is, the end of PKN. Paramotor talk that I think people might like.
I like that. Is there any? Are we going to see any video of this crash?
You might,
Oh, that'd be neat.
if you'd like, but I am not putting it online.
Why not? I feel like
I've done it before. You know what?
People give you a hard time.
Somebody did, yeah. And I'm just like, you know, I don't want to fucking. No one else has to put every mistake out there that they make. So
Yeah, I feel you.
I didn't hide it. You know, I posted up my lessons learned, etc. And I have some still shots of my frame before and after. But I didn't take video, but somebody else did. And I asked him for a copy of it. So it exists, and I'd be happy to show you. But I don't think I'm going to put it on YouTube or anything and let the next guy out there who wants to give me shit. Like, I'm not going to fuel it.
What do they say? Like you're doing something dangerous that you shouldn't be doing?
No.
Or they just call you bad?
Yeah, they just call me bad. Some guy made up a nickname for me, like Dirt Burger from that foot drag that went wrong. And
Dirt Burger?
Yeah, I don't even
Oh,
get
that's
it.
not even a good nickname. He's
It's
just
not. And he just like everything I've written online for the past like 2 months, he replied to it and called me Dirt Burger.
What a fucking asshole.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't want this shit anymore. You know, like, and if you look at my reply, like, I'm just out there like helping people, you know, and he likes to stir shit up. Like, that's his idea of online fun. So, yeah, I think I'll just keep the video to myself. But you can see it if you'd like.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested. Yeah, if you could,
Yeah,
if there's
I'd
an
look
easy
at
way
it.
to watch it. Yeah.
All right. I guess that's a show.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. PKN 192.